Te pare po, como se? All right. How's everybody doing this evening? Great. Awesome. You had a good Easter? Yes. Did everybody eat ball crawfish, or was that just me? Just me? Okay. All right, guys, we have some hanger steak this evening, which is basically, there's one hanger steak on each animal, on each cow. And for the longest time, it was called the butcher's cut because, for one thing, it's hard to get. There's not that many of them, and it's a really prized piece of meat. It's really tender, really flavorful, kind of like skirt steak, and the butcher would just kind of keep it to himself. We're going to cook it. We're going to serve it with some Rapini, which is another name for broccoli rabe, which has little buds like broccoli, but it's actually not any part of broccoli. It's actually the part of the mustard green family. So it's got a little bitterness. It's a little bit more tender, so we can do a quick braise, and it's got a lot of flavor to it. The way we're going to do that is we're going to use some bacon fat, okay? And to get some bacon fat, we're going to render some bacon lardons, which is basically just little pieces of bacon or pork fat. We're using bacon for this. So we're going to get our pot nice and hot. I'll kind of go through the ingredients. Of course, we have the bacon. We have some shallots, the rapini or broccoli rabe. We're going to use some red wine vinegar for this, some minced garlic, some fresh thyme, a little chicken stock, and we're going to finish it with some butter, okay? So basically what we do to render the bacon, we don't need to put any fat in the pan because there's enough fat in the bacon, so. It doesn't have to be hot, it can be warm, whatever, but we're basically gonna just let it sit there and get all the liquid fat out of the solid fat right now, and that's called rendering, okay? I'm sure everybody's scrambled eggs with bacon before, the bacon fat. Well, you just rendered some bacon and what's that? Yeah, a traditional lardon will not be smoked, but any bacon's fine. You can also use like, cube pork or, just any kind of bacon fat. Like, basically bacon is pork belly, you know what I mean? So you can get some pork belly or something like that. But yeah, any bacon's fine. The fattier the better. All right, and while we render the bacon, we're gonna do some other things too, okay? The sauce is really, really simple. It's a horseradish sour cream. You can say it fancy and call it creme fraiche if you'd like. It's really not a creme fraiche, but sometimes we do that just to make itself sound fancy. All right, and for the horseradish sour cream, we have a cup of sour cream. You can deviate from this recipe too, guys. If you want a little sweetness, you can add some sugar if you want to make it spicy. Some cayenne, even some fresh jalapenos. All right, so a cup of sour cream, quarter cup of horseradish. You can use freshly grated if you like also. Some Dijon mustard. A little apple cider vinegar. Some kosher salt, and some black pepper. It wouldn't hurt to make this the day before. That horseradish will really meld into the sauce if it sits for a while. You want to make it at least 4 hours in advance. Because just like anything, horseradish has some natural sugars in it also. So if it sits overnight, they'll come out and it give a nice little natural sweetness to it. But real simple, guys. That's our horseradish sour cream. Yes.
Why kosher salt instead of regular?
Well, in the kitchen, I mean, we do a lot of curing and stuff like that, and you always want to use kosher salt for that. But also when when we work the line, it's easier to tell how much you're using, because it's bigger granules, and when iodized, you can over salt things really, really easily. So. So guys, you want to just stir the bacon every once in a while. Smells terrible. All right, so again, guys, you can add little things to this. In fact, let's add some chive just because I need to use some time up. How about that? But again, you can really add anything to this. A little bit of sugar won't hurt. Some cayenne. A little saffron would be good. All right, so we'll get back to that later. Any questions on the sauce? Pretty easy, right? All right, you see the fat coming out of that? That's the goodness, guys. Also, the stuff at the bottom of the pan, that's going to come into play later when we deglaze the pan with some vinegar and chicken stock. In Louisiana, we call that the gris-gris, all the flavor at the bottom of the pan. All right, so that's about where I want it. So now we're going to caramelize the shallots in that bacon fat. So I did 2 shallots, just julienne. We're not going to add our garlic yet. It's pretty hot and that garlic can burn and get everything bitter really quickly. So we're going to wait right until before we put the rapini in. Bacon and shallots is probably one of my favorite things. It can be used in so many different ways. What's that?
You need to add turkey bacon, olive oil.
Yeah, just some kind of fat. You know, olive oil would be fine. It's kind of a sin, but you know, turkey bacon will work. You know what you could do is do turkey bacon, and then when they're not looking, put a big ham hock in there. You know what I mean? All right, so that's almost ready. We just want to caramelize, what does caramelize mean? Y'all remember? When we're caramelizing vegetables, bringing out that natural sugar. All right, so we're going to put that garlic in there. I'm going to add a little bit more fat to it. Okay, we are cooking greens, so at least that's healthy for a little while until it gets cooked in here. All right, guys, so before that garlic burns, I'm going to put that rapini in there. Yeah, I mean, you can substitute mustard greens or turnip greens, even kale. Kale is, it's so funny how popular kale is now. I mean, it used to be kind of a garnish and not used for anything, but, you know, we have kale on the menu, braised kale. It's just really, really popular and extremely good for you. It's definitely a superfood. All right, so this will wilt pretty quickly, but I know the bottom of my pot is screaming for liquid, so I'm going to go ahead and put the vinegar in there. Chicken stock. And the time, all you do is kind of pull the leaves off. If you get a little stem in there, it won't hurt anything. All right. So we'll kind of cover that up. We're going to wait to season it. We'll wait till the end. I'm going to put a cover on this for a little bit, turn it down just a bit, and we're going to move on to the hanger steak. Any questions on that so far? Yes, ma'am. The temperature-wise? The temperature, yes. I started about medium-high, and then once you put it in, cover it a little bit, and you can turn it down just a bit. definitely. This pot doesn't have much surface area for the amount I'm cooking, but I got this new all-clad and I had to use it. So we're going to steam it just a little bit. You usually want maybe a little bit more surface area, but it's not that big of a deal. All right, so the hanger steak, medium-high again. And we're going to do it all poivre, which is basically crusted with pepper. All right, so all we do, when you're seasoning meat, guys, y'all remember, we're seasoning the inside of the meat also, okay? That's why a lot of times when you have steaks at your house, it just needs a little bit more, well, don't be scared with the salt and pepper, okay? Especially when you're au poivre in it. Because we're making up for the inside of the meat too when we're seasoning it. So obviously the recipe called for 6 to 8 ounces. I'm just doing one. Just to give you guys the idea. I want to do stuff that I can finish completely out here so I can plate it up and show you all from start to finish how it's supposed to look. So it's kind of tough in terms of what recipes I can do because there's no oven and things like that. So, all right, so when you use that little extra virgin olive oil, we want to get a nice crust, guys, so we got to get that pan pretty hot, okay? It's got to be pretty formidable. You know, an au poivre usually means pretty heavily crusted, but you know, if you don't like it as spicy, you don't have to put as much.
How thick is that?
What's that?
The steak.
I'll show you in 1 second. They're usually about the size of pork tenderloins, the biggest ones. We butchered the whole thing. You'll get two, you know, probably about this big in one of the whole unbutchered pieces. And there's a lot of fat cap, but if you buy them at the store, they'll be broken down, ready to go. So, all right. So if we're not hearing that, we're doing something wrong, okay? You got to hear that. It's telling us, thank you so much for cooking me the right way. That's what that translates to. All right, guys, so let's check on the rapini. There's a lot of water naturally inside that rapini, so me covering it kind of let that water stay in the pot to create a natural sauce in the pot. This is about ready. We want to season it. We got to account for the bacon in there, so we got to be careful with the salt. You want to taste it again and then season it again before you plate it. But that salt, that bacon definitely has some salt already from the curing, so we got to be careful. All right, and then last but not least, some butter. Unsalted, yes, ma'am. Always, always use unsalted. All right, y'all see that nice crust? The one thing about hanger, over medium, it gets pretty tough, okay? So you want to do it rare to medium rare. We'll try to get this one right at medium rare.
How do you know it's medium rare?
I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm just joking. I'm just messing with you. Yeah, I mean, different cuts of meat are different. You know, hanger's a little bit tougher because it does have some marbling in it. You know, but filet, you know, that's definitely what you do. You hold it and you press it, and then you lift this one up, that one, that one, that one. But it really just takes practice. I mean, if you want to, you can use a thermometer. I'm gonna smoke this place up. You can use a thermometer, and I think it's 135 is medium, 125 is medium rare. But really with this, if it's this size, you're going to be searing all sides, and it'll be about done. You want to let it rest also. If you get a bigger hanger steak or a bigger cut of meat, you probably want to let it seat the oven a little bit. But if you want something medium well to well done, This is definitely not the cut of meat. All right, so I'm gonna turn that off. Just a little bit longer. All right. Smells good. I think that's just about right. All right. I've made a mess. All right, I'm gonna take this hanger steak out. I'm gonna let it rest. When I say let it rest, all the juices are flowing right now inside that steak. So if we were to slice it now, the juice would just spew out, okay? So we let it rest and we let those juices settle. And that way when we slice it, it stays in each slice and it doesn't stream out the steak. And then you have a dry steak. What's that?
You don't pepper it?
No. I mean, you can if you want, but you don't need to. Any other questions, guys, so far? Good? Okay. Did y'all enjoy the hors d'oeuvres? Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Good. Those meatballs were pretty darn good, I gotta say. Yeah.
You're gonna do
What's that?
a thing on just hors d'oeuvres.
I know. We could do like a 3-hour class and just do like...
We'll be here.
You're not the first person that's asked that. We probably should do that. It'd be fun, yeah. All right, so we're gonna plate it up now. I'm gonna taste that to make sure. So with this, guys, we have the freshness of that Rapini, and we have the gaminess, the real boldness of that steak, and then we have that sweet, tangy, sour cream. So it's a really good spring, summertime dish. I mean, Rapini kind of ends in the summer, so probably more spring. But, you know, it's light, but still full flavored. All right, I want some of that juice. Some of that juice and then some of that bacon. Put this over here so we can see good. That looks good, right? See, those shallots are nice and caramelized and soft. So this will probably be about rare to medium rare. Probably more medium rare. It probably wouldn't hurt to wait to slice a little bit longer, but I think we're gonna be good to go. You always wanna go against the grain. What's that? Well, the whole recipe on the card will serve 4 people. This meat right here, this piece of meat will just be for 1.
What is the significance of going against the grain?
It just makes it really tender. If you go with the grain, then those grains are intact, and the longer the grain, the just more chew it'll be. But if you just, you know, so now the grain is just this long, you know what I mean? So it just makes it a lot more tender.
All those tough meats.
Little WD-40. This is balsamic gastrique. It's a balsamic vinegar, brown sugar, some shallots reduced down. Another name for culinary is gastronomie, and gastrique is the basis of that. It's just really good in a lot of stuff. I'm gonna finish with a little kosher salt, a little finishing salt. And then we're gonna take a little chive. Voila, guys. How about that? Awesome. Any questions before I go back there and make a whole bunch of them for y'all?
Could you put blue cheese in that horseradish sauce?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. Even some crumbled blue cheese on top of this would be good. Yeah. With the bitterness of the green, it'd be really good. Awesome. Well, guys, I'll be right back. Thank you all so much. How was it, guys? Awesome, guys. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you guys coming. I'll see y'all next time. And remember, at Gabe's Downtown, fat equals flavor.